Cool.
Yeah, we're live.
We'll have like a minute long delay like we did. Right, cool. So we're live then. So welcome back. Sorry guys, we had some technical difficulties. It looks like we were okay, maybe a little bit laggy, but not as bad as it was certainly. So we'll crack on. Oz just finished introducing himself, so cheers for that, Oz. And yeah, so we're gonna pick up from the from Saturday's conversation. We're probably gonna continue to have these on a Wednesday night when it doesn't encroach on our weekends. Ryan said you guys certainly are. Cool. Cheers, Ryan. I don't know what he's referring to.
Bingo! Sorry.
You said we're back, and he said yes.
Oh, we're late. It might have been.
Yeah, it's probably yeah. Yeah. Right. So I'm just going to share. I'm going to go straight over to the share screen mode, and there it is. There, look, we're all there. This is fantastic. So what you're looking at on screen there, for those of you guys that haven't seen this yet, there's a grid, and at the top of that grid it says what should good Britball clubs have, and then on the grid itself it's divided into three sections here. So players, coaches, and fans. You can see we filled out a lot of the players section, and then vertically it's divided into all levels: Div 2, Div 1, and Prem. And the idea is that we may be able to slot some concepts in there, and what we've got at the top here is a color coded system for us to drop sticky notes. So mine are yellow, Will's are green, Adam's are purple, and Oz's are blue. Oz hasn't had any yet because he's joining us for the first time in this exercise. Oz, feel free to add any as we're going. We're just looking at the coaching level at the moment. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time on Saturday, and we were. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Will, we got to this point.
We got no youth teams.
Which we haven't edited, but no youth teams didn't mean no youth teams. It meant it was actually something that was probably better aligned at this all club level. And it was more about making sure that the youth teams weren't just spun up and then took resource away from the senior team.
Yeah.
But in Will's infinite wisdom, he felt the best way to capture that was by saying no youth teams, which was quite funny last stream. Anyway, so it's not no youth teams, and then we talked. Did we get to minimum level 1 all coaches?
No, but it was pretty self-explanatory.
So that's where we'll start off. Now, just before we go into that, I just want to let everyone know who's watching. Oh, we've got quite a few number of viewers already. So if you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, you can comment or put messages in the chat, and I'll see them on screen here, and I'll read them out. We're probably running at a delay of about 30 odd seconds. I need to check that. So just bear in mind that when you put something up, I may not see it straight away, and then I may take a couple of minutes to get to it, but I will get to it. So we do want to make this sort of interactive and make sure we got everyone's views on this. So anyway, so we're gonna go straight into and I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. So the next post-it notes for us to look at was minimum level 1 all coaches, and you've put that in a cross section of. Did you do this on purpose with it going into the lower section?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that, Will. Tell us your concept.
I just think I've not taken the Prem into consideration because I think that they'll be fine, but I just can't understand how teams have coaches who are not level 1 qualified. It just doesn't compute. In my brain, the level 1 coaching course is the easiest coaching course I've ever done. So to come across teams who have got coaches who are not level 1 just like I say, just wrong.
Yeah, the thing is, level 1 itself doesn't like. I'm level 1 qualified as well, and it doesn't even feel like when you're doing it, and then you finish the course, and you're like, oh, right. That's it. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like coming away from that course, I did not feel like I would be qualified to run. If your head coach is level 1 qualified, I would not feel comfortable in if that was the only qualification that he has. So yeah, I feel like it's needed for basic safety principles.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
because that's one of the good things that it does sort of go on is like you need to do this, you need to do that, and a lot of it's fucking politicking as well. It's like you need to make sure that if you're coaching kids, you're not doing this, and if you're coaching women, you're not doing this.
Don't take the snap.
Yeah. They're like, that's the thing. They're like, don't go under center. Don't do this. And so it's like a lot of it just feels like it's BAFA going, look, we don't want lawsuits, and we don't want you being associated with us getting a lawsuit. So, like, I would not feel comfortable if my head coach was only level 1 qualified, but at the same time, you know, there are a lot of coaches that have sort of qualifications that from possibly other sports or something like that. Like if you've coached rugby for 10 to 15 years, the only thing that you would need to really work on would be your football knowledge, so to speak. Like, you know how to coach, if that makes sense. At which point, you know, if you've got the entry level, but I still feel like, especially for D2 into D1, that all coaches should have the minimum of level 1, 100%. Is that supposed to be dropping down into the fan section, or is that just because you're blind as a bat?
Yeah, so this is the bit I wanted to ask about. Although, I want to get to that in a second, because I want to get Wilkin's take on this as well, because Wilkin is very much involved with the coaching side of the business. So it's not really a business, is it? But the league.
It's for him.
Yeah, so the coaching situation for me is you've got to remember what BAFCA have actually said. Like, the level 1 is supposed to be an assistant coach, so they're supposed to be like helping out with drills and things like that. They're not actually supposed to be like left in charge. But the way that BAFCA are rolling out level 2s, it hasn't happened often enough. So we've got lots of people stuck on a level 1 that haven't had access to a level 2.
Yeah.
So
what I'm saying is there is teams in Division 2, probably not Division 1, but you never know, who literally have positional coaches who don't even have a level 1.
Right, well, that for me, they are not a coach. If they don't have that, they are not a coach. I mean, yes, you can have other qualifications from like USA football and things like that, but as far as British American football, you are not a coach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've put. I think every single person who considers himself a coach in Division 2 should have the minimum of a level 1.
Can you register as a coach with BAFA without having a BAFCA level 1?
No.
Okay.
No. So basically, they've got their own little group on Facebook, and you're only allowed in that once you're a qualified coach as well.
I mean, that's not true. That's not true.
Is that not true? That's what I was told.
No, you can get into the group and things like that, because there's loads of things at the minute where people have wanted to become a level 1 coach, for example, and they've been told to do their like USA sports like equivalent until they can get their British one. But it's realistically, like, say if I wanted to go and coach fencing, if I had my British fencing qualification and then I wanted to go do it in France, I would still have to take the French qualification because it doesn't go across. So it's the same for, like, say if you've done your USA one, like, that's great, but you still need to get your British one as well, which is it's a bit of a nightmare. Like, I mean, I know they're starting to merge things together now, but it's, for me, if you're not a coach if you don't have a level 1. As simple as that. And a level 1, according to BAFCA, is an assistant coach. That's what it is. So but the problem that we've got in this country at the minute is we don't have enough level 2 qualifications rolled out. So there's hundreds of people stuck at level 1 that's got the knowledge to be a level 2 or 3, but they can't progress because the courses aren't available. Completely. Now, fair play to Wayne at the minute, like Wayne and the rest of the BAFCA team, that they are starting to like really push these things out at the minute, and you're starting to see so much progress in BAFCA at the minute where things are getting rolled out. Don't get us wrong, I would still like it if they could email coaches rather than put something on Facebook. Like, they've got all the coaches' emails, just fire an email across, this is when the courses are. Like, that would be ideal, but because BAFA and BAFCA are separate, they can't share that information, which is just...
BAFCA and BAFA aren't separate.
Well, they have been in the past, haven't they?
But they
in
now
the past.
fall underneath BAFA.
They're now together.
You see, with the level 1, like, I don't know why they can't run that online on a Zoom session like, you know, like we're on now. there's no reason why during the lockdown period they couldn't have cleared a load of coaches who wanted a level 1 and just done it on a Zoom. It's just.
So
did you not do it, like with your level 1? Did you not do anything outside? Did you not?
Yeah, you do.
I didn't do anything outside.
So, well, okay, we had to because we had to run drills and we did.
Yeah, you do.
Like your assessment.
So I sat in on a level 1. Like I've made it perfectly clear I want to become like a trainer or like to help get people to level 1. And so I was offered a chance to go and sit through and watch like a delivery session of a level 1, and they do like you need it to be in person. Like there's lots of things. Yes, you could do it online, but you need that assessment in person because you're waiting to hear like verbal cues. Like you need them to be able to hit those safety points to be able to run that drill. And let's be honest. Yes, I know everyone getting past the level 1. Like there is some people that do fail. Don't get us wrong. There is, but as long as you hit the verbal cues, you'd be past your level 1. But then it's up to the coaches who you're going to be under to still supervise it, because again, it is an assistant coach position.
Right.
And what we covered in the last session was we talked about how like the liability thing comes into play. Now, realistically, it falls on the head coach. Mm-hmm. So you need the coaches to be level 1. But
if we're talking legally or metaphorically, because legally it doesn't fall on the head coach, but metaphorically it does.
So if you're saying it doesn't fall on the head coach, if I'm a head coach of a team and I've got some random bloke who isn't a level 1 to come in and coach a drill and some kid gets hurt, it's my fault. So it does fall on the head coach.
I think it falls on the club.
Yeah, it's not going to fall on the head coach because you're not going to get sued personally for it.
Yeah, it's covered. The club is liable, but you're not personally liable.
Right, but responsibly.
I completely get what you're saying, and like I say, I raise the point that everybody who's a coach should have a level 1. It's just, yeah. I mean, I've not done a level 1 now. I probably did it 8-9 years ago, like, and I'm no longer a coach as of last year. So I know they were just making changes, and I know recent changes have come in. So things have probably changed since I last had my, eye within, what's going on with BAFCA. But I do. There are teams out there who do not have level 1 coaches coaching positional play, which, like I say, doesn't sit comfortably with me.
I mean, realistically, for me, what I think needs to happen is BAFCA need to start enforcing this. Like, to be honest, at first, they need to start rolling out these level 2s and start enforcing the situation where these level 1s are just assistant coaches. Like what we discussed the last time, there should be a hierarchy. You should have to achieve a certain level to be able to be an OC, a DC, a head coach. Like that, put some pride on that and actually have to earn that position rather than just come in. Like, fair play if you get someone that's been coaching in the States for 5 or 6 years, or they've done other sports, come in and just go straight for that level 2 or level 3 or whatever. Fine, go for that option.
Is there a level 3? I've never heard anyone tell me. Not yet, but I'm sure there is.
I thought they'd announced a level 3 for head coach.
There is starting to be some other things down the line which they were talking about. They brought out, I guess, stages where it was going to be a 3 and a 4. I think they were going to be bringing out soon.
Right.
But
okay. So just Ryan Cummins has popped up in the chat saying, "I still remember mine, and I totally agree with this, as it doesn't feel like an actual course, but just a quick tutorial." Yeah. So, but I think that's...
it literally just feels like it's a bit of paper to stop BAFCA getting fucking sued by people coming out and going, your coaches have no idea what they're doing. It's like, no, we put them on this course.
Yeah.
But that's fine, right? Like they're able.
That's the world we live in these days. So,
I mean, it is fine and it isn't, because like Will's saying, there's so many fucking teams out there where the majority of the team will literally just have level 1. And if you've got no other experience apart from level 1, right across the board, from your OC to your DC to your head coach to any of if you're lucky enough to have positional, some teams are, some teams aren't lucky enough to have positional coordinators, and all you've got is level 1. No one knows their fucking ass from their elbow.
You see, that's not true, because I know some very knowledgeable people who have only got level 1 because the level 2 is so difficult to take. Not that. What I mean is, it's difficult to get on the course because they don't run in very often.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
So who does that fall under?
Like, if they only have level 1 in terms of, like, if you've done, because obviously there's football knowledge, but if the only thing that you've ever done is level 1, like, I know some absolute spoons of human beings that have got level 1. Like, and you know, they talk about it as, like, with pride. They're like, I'm a BAFCA accredited coach. I've got level 1. And it's like, mate, I'm pretty sure Stephen Hawking now could get level 1. And I think he's been dead for a couple of years. Like,
2018.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the memory chip in his computer that's been powered down for the last 2 years could get level 1, and the cunt can't even walk.
Yeah, but who's that fall under though? Like, is that the coach's fault for not being able to go for the level 2, or is that?
I feel like it sits with BAFCA.
It completely sits with BAFCA.
They should be like, if they want this to be sort of a legitimized and a well-run sport, then they need to be providing the resources.
I don't even look at it in those terms, Oz. It's a revenue generator for them as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, if anyone runs any business knows you go for the stuff that earns money, right? So if you've got people out there willing to give you money for a service that you can provide, then you figure out how to provide it.
There is definitely demand for it if you're looking at supply and demand. There is so much more demand than supply.
Yes.
I mean, if you go back to the point that we made last time, where it's this one here that I mentioned the last time about coach educators, like, that would be easy enough to run. It's just the whole startup situation, getting that started.
Train the trainer. Literally train the trainer. All you need to do is you set up a fucking couple of day seminar where you have one lead trainer who is going to be training people to run level 2 courses. And then those people that are trained, they go out to the wider regions and they run, like, week in, week out, you run those fucking level 2 courses. Or month in, month out.
Yeah, monthly.
Right, so, yeah, you're right. Well, we are going a little bit off point here because we're just... all Will was saying was we should have a standard that minimum level 1 for all coaches. And I think everyone... It seems agreed on that.
Yeah, I feel like we can move that, though.
Well, I think it's all clubs. Yes, exactly what I think.
Yeah. I think it goes there.
Yeah, same with Will and his no youth teams. He likes to put everything on Div 2, but it doesn't sit there. But yeah, no, I agree. Teflon's just popped up in the chat with a couple of comments. I'm going to come back to those, Tef, because I think they fall in. Well, they do definitely fall in after this next one. So
I need a new non-stick pan if Teflon wants this. my wok is fucked.
I was just hoping his comments won't stick, to be honest, but we'll see.
So, Will, your next one is CPD inspections, and you've got that as a nice to have at Div 2 level.
It was meant to be. It was in between division. It should be on all coaches. I realise how this works now. There we go. I've moved it to all coaches.
But again, that should be down here.
Yeah, I think that. Well, let's hear him talk about it first.
Well, yeah, it should be down there, but it's not up to the coaches to police that. This is again up to BAFCA to do that, and I don't know what resources they've got to be able to do that.
Right. Okay. If I'm a coach of a men's club, why do I need to be CPD checked?
All right, because that's not a term I'm familiar with.
So CPD is continuous professional development.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So basically...
I thought it was the child protection something. I thought that
was like... No, that's DBS,
CPQ, isn't it? No, CP... DBS.
Yeah, so CBD, continuous professional development. So basically, you do an hour's Football America course, you put it on your CPD log. You then got to amass so many hours a year to pass qualifications. Now, again, I know they were talking about it, but it doesn't look like they've input it at the minute. There's so many... Have they input it? Yeah, but did he check?
Well, so as far as I'm aware, what you've got to do is if you've got a course, you put your certificate and you load them onto your profile. So, you know, when you pay for your registration, you can go on there and load it on. So there's a place where you upload certificates. So I can't tell you if they go on and check. But if someone came to me and said,
I'm telling you now, they don't, because there's coaches out there who passed the level 1 15 years ago.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. If they were to come to me now and said, "Oh, you haven't done anything these last 3 years, we're going to take your coaching qualification away from you," I'll go, "Wait there, check the log, and you'll see I've done this, and this, and I uploaded it on the day I got it on each one." So again, coaches need to cover their own back by doing it and uploading where they've asked you to do it. If they haven't checked it, that's on them. It's up to...
It's a two-pronged attack, though, isn't it? Yes, coaches do have to upload it, but they need to know that BAFCA are checking.
Yeah, but realistically, coaches should have pride in themselves and what they're doing to be able to just go and do it.
Yeah, but you should kind of be treating it like your own little fucking BAFCA LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Where anytime you get these little fucking achievements, you should be banging them on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but coaches don't take the little achievements. That's what I'm saying. This is a carrot. This is not a a carrot and a stick approach. This is, you've got to do this, so we're going to enforce it by checking you are doing it. Again, as I said in the last show, I don't come from decent Britballing teams. I come from the worst teams in the worst divisions.
Which I'm sure your teammates love to hear on stream.
Well, they records speak for themselves at the end of the day, and there is times, I've came across good coaches who love to do CPD stuff, and there's certainly coaches out there who think because they played in the 70s they know everything. And my point is, if we want to develop this game, if we want to take this game forward, it's all well and good saying you've got this CPD record here, you need to upload to it. They need to check, and then they need to call people out on it. Look, you've not done any development in the past 3 years. You've got to amass 10 hours in the next 6 months, or you're no longer a level 1 coach.
Right, and can I just say, right, there's nothing I hate more than going online and finding like a 6-hour course on something that, like, say, like coaching, like, I don't know, like 17 flag or something like that, which I do it in schools and things, but I don't want to be spending like 6 hours on a course, but I know that I've got to do it because it's part of my development as a coach, and it's also something I need to do to keep coaching. Like, no one wants to do it. Like, Jesus, like, if I said to someone in work, "Oh, you've got to go on like a 20-hour training course over the next couple of days," and
but that's life. I mean? That's
exactly
life.
Exactly. So no one wants to do it. So coaches still have to go and do it.
Yeah.
Like, just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean you don't do it. Like, if coaches have been around for 20 years or 30 years and they don't want to buy into it, all right, don't buy into it. We've got plenty of more coaches that want to buy into it, and they're going to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
right,
sorry,
so
the ways of
on
tackling have changed.
On this point, this is what Teflon was saying, and it's almost counter to what you're saying, or it's an argument against it. I think it came up in the last stream. So first of all, we started off with, where do you stand on the fact that coaches are free labour, they don't get paid, CPD costs, and it takes time out of their normal life. He then, let me read all his comments before you guys address it. He then said, "I only have level 1, but 16 years playing experience at Prem and International level." And then his last comment was, "So just to add to my point, I'm happy to coach and support teams and help people learn. But if I'm forced into laborious CPD and costs, etc., then I just won't coach. Then it's the players that suffer."
Right. So again, to what I said last week, I still think teams should be paying for those courses.
Yeah.
Which I made a very clear point last week about, because they need coaches for a team to happen, and coaches need these qualifications to be a coach. Therefore, teams should be putting their hand in their pocket to make sure they've got the best coaches available. Like, let's be honest, what everyone in this country, what's everyone harping on about? They all want, they all want like a semi-pro league, and if we haven't got the best coaches and they haven't got all the qualifications they need, that is never ever going to happen. I'm going to say this now: it's not going to happen if we don't have qualified coaches running it. You can put as much money into anything that you want, But if the coaches aren't good enough, you will never get semi-pro football here.
And I'd like to add to that as well, because I completely agree with everything Alan's just said, but also in regards to the fact you've played for 16 years, that's great, and you probably have tons of experience, but we're on about an ever-evolving sport. You know, there's constantly new rules, new techniques, all sorts of stuff coming in. We're not asking you to take a course on heads-up tackling. What we're asking you to do is look at the new content. There's plenty. I mean, thousands and thousands of hours of decent, content online through different, courses, podcasts, videos, books, you name it. We're just asking for people to keep up to date with the current, footballing world scenario.
Mate, not just football, health and safety as well.
Yeah, health and yeah.
And the thing is, you can fall into a trap with that as well, because there's a lot of sort of coaches. It's the same for rugby as it is for football, but there's a lot of coaches that are like, oh, well, I was coached to do it this way, and this is the way that we're going to do it. And it's like, it's like, okay, cool. So you were coached to do it this way 20 years ago, and now you're teaching kids how to do it now, and you are outdated as fuck. Yeah. Like it's the same people that think, like, just getting out there and doing Oklahomas and fucking 30-year-old kit is the best way to toughen kids up. It's like, no, it's a surefire way to give people brain damage. You're out there in fucking helmets that have got no padding, that have probably failed their safety check for the last 25 years, and you're like, yeah, just run at him and headbutt him, toughen him up. No, you end up with a brain full of soup.
The Oklahoma drill is a prime example for me, because I don't like the Oklahoma drill as a coach, and I never liked it as a player.
Because you're weak as piss.
but for me, stuff like that, like you say, they're outdated. Like, we don't need to do Okie drills anymore. Let's look at concussion. Concussion is a prime example of where 10, 15 years ago, it was nowhere near as strict as it is today. And if you're not, and who knows what the world is now evolving due to COVID-19. It's never going to go back to how it was pre-COVID-19. So there's going to be new procedures in place for coaches going forward. And if you're not doing your CPD, how do you know about them?
Yeah, it's you fall into a trap if you're not doing CPD, because you're just looking at, like, this is the way I was taught, this is the way it's always been taught, this is the way that we're going to do it, and then you just end up with an old fucking archaic.
I think all three of you guys know I actually work. This is how I earn my money, right? In people development and learning and development and CPD and all this stuff. And
you didn't even know what CPD stood for.
Yeah, I thought. Do you know what? I don't know what CPD is. I thought it was to do with I don't know why, but like your child protection stuff. I don't know why, but so I know this stuff extremely well, and Oz is exactly right. So I train. I look after some sales teams, right? And those sales teams are typically managed by successful sales managers who were very successful 15, 20 years ago. And even in sales, the techniques that they used 15, 20 years ago don't work in modern day. And you get these what we call them sales dinosaurs that, you're having to sort of like retrain them on how to talk. And it's the exact same for sport. Exactly the same,
completely agree.
I absolutely do buy into it. I think it's a point. I think a coach needs to be willing to partake in CPD, but they should not have to pay for it. And I think that's been the unanimous agreement as we've talked about this. If I'm a head coach, or if I'm a player at a club where I've got a coach that doesn't want to develop, I think, well,
how am I going to develop as a player if my coach isn't fucking developing as a coach?
Yeah. So I think you sort of owe it to yourself. Like, even I know there's the compliance and the health and safety side of it, but if you want to stay good as a coach and you want to win championships and you want to get the best out of your players, you need to adopt modern techniques all the time.
All you have to do is look at the NFL, right? The successful teams in the NFL are the ones that are constantly adapting. Yeah. They change their offensive schemes. They change their defensive schemes. They're not fucking out there running a wishbone and like things that worked 25 years ago. Like they are looking at how, like, what's working in the team in the league now, and they're like, okay, well, this is what it is now. How do we get better at this? So it's if you don't change, well, that's the fucking saying, like the shark that doesn't swim forward dies, or some shit like that. Like, because if you're not like, it's something to do with the fact they got gills, and I don't know what the fuck I'm
We
saying.
don't have sharks in the UK.
Yeah, it sounds like a very Kiwi thing to say.
No, but just a last point on that. A great example is how you speak to people. How you could speak to people 20 years ago compared to how you can speak to somebody
mate, I'm
today.
always going on about this.
It's changed
the drill sergeant
dynamic.
coach.
Yeah.
You can, mate, 20 years ago, they still didn't work for me. When I first started playing the game, I got punished constantly because I just wouldn't listen to the nonsense. But I was a good player, so they kept me around. But you've got. I think in this country, you've got coaches who have even watched documentaries or films.
No, they watch Hard Knocks and they think
idea of how a coach should act, and they try and emulate it. The same happens with players. You know, there's certain players that act certain ways. They come into the sport thinking they're going to have a certain level of impact or performance, and they get a big wake-up call, right? And some people can't handle it, and they head out of the sport, and others stick around and they get good at the sport, right? But it's that same thing. It's that sort of people trying to mimic and recreate something that they like or they buy into, and it just doesn't work in a contemporary way. So, anyway, right. I want to move on from this just quickly. Tef's come back and said, "Good, valid points, chaps." So he agreed, which is cool. Ryan said, and I don't want to go into another rabbit hole with this, because I want to move on. But he said, "I remember going to the coaching clinic with the NFL Academy back in January, and I believe it was and felt more like a coaching course than what is offered on at the moment." Now you're talking at two different levels of.
Well, I was going to say, I fucking hope so if it was an NFL Academy.
Exactly, we should, our coaches should aspire to emulate that. Like they should try, just as players want to,
the best strive for me, the best coach.
Performance. Coaches should be striving for the same level of excellence, right? To constantly get better. But anyway,
I was always taught when I was I went to college and things to do sports coaching. The best coach is a thief, and what that means is coaches should go and steal ideas of other coaches and learn different things from other coaches. Like being a dinosaur and not picking up and just sticking in your own set way, it's not going to work. You're not going to be a good coach. It's as simple as that.
So, Will, let's move on to your next one. I don't think it links in. I think we don't need to touch on it.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. But
level, there should be a set amount of level. So. Yes. Level 2 coaches, and I think Adam talked about this last time. I think, Adam, you said your coordinator should be level 2 minimum.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think your head coach and your OC and your DC, all three should be level 2 minimum.
Cool. Okay.
Certainly in the Prem.
Yeah, in the Prem. 100%.
Yeah, in the Prem.
In Div 1, I feel like your head coach should be level 2 minimum.
Yeah. See, I think it should be Div 1 as well.
Yeah, and actually, the more I think about it, I think you could actually look to move that across. That would probably bridge the two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the thing. That makes sense. Okay. Cool. So that one, that's cool. Let's move on to this next one. You're saying that it should be, and you probably got this wrong because you weren't placing things properly. But from what you've said here, Will, you're saying it should be mandated that there are paid coaches within the Premier League.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about this.
Let's hear your side of the argument.
I think basically what Adam alluded to before. Everybody wants a semi-professional league in this country.
Yeah.
I think certain players should be played, and we'll no doubt get onto that later on in the stream. And I think coaches should be. At the end of the day, coaching, certainly at a Prem level, will encompass as many hours as a full-time job, and to get a little bit of remuneration for that work. And I'm not saying all coaches in the Prem should be paid, but certainly the ones who are putting in the hours. It's still a hobby it's a hobby for most people where they're not earning any money from it. They can easily spend 20, 30 hours a week to earn nothing from it. And I just think,
tell me how much they should be getting paid.
That's the big thing for me. It's how are we? Because the thing is, most clubs rely on fundraising, which people don't want to fucking do, or sponsorship, or.
Well, we're talking about the cream of the crop here, not the Division 2 coaches.
No, but you're still.
It's not much different up there.
I was going to say, like, what about a team that's like freshly promoted from Div 1, just made it into the Prem, and next thing you know, their coach is now going to start getting paid, but at the same time, we're expecting the club to pay for, probably by the looks of this, their OC and DC, if they've come from Div 1, to go up to the Prem, quite possibly to have to sit level 2. We're also looking for the team to be paying for CPD inspections. We're looking for the team to be paying for CPD.
No, the CPD inspections.
Not for the CPD inspection, sorry. We're looking for the teams to pay for the CPD, and now we're going to start paying the coaches as well. Now, I get you probably only want to provide them with a stipend, because they're only doing a weekend, like a fucking Sunday, and then, training on a weekday might be 1 or 2 training sessions a week. So you're like, we'll compensate you for 2 hours of your time during the week and then fucking 4 hours of your time on the weekend or some shit like that. But at the same time, with this amount of money that you're having to fork out for all of this sort of stuff in terms of development and things like that, a lot of teams are still having to pay for their facilities at the same time. Where's this money coming from? Because a lot of teams, especially the ones that have, if they've just hit the fucking Div 1 to Prem bump, they were probably not in the best place financially to begin with, because they were probably a team that's either managed to jump up from Div 2 to Div 1, like make the run, or they're one that's sort of fluctuating between the Prem and Div 1, bouncing up, bouncing down, or a team that's been perennially Div 1, had a couple of players join, just got them over the fucking hump. It's one of those things where, these sort of clubs, I wouldn't expect to be massively in the green financially. So you're expecting them to have this influx of cash, this outflow of cash, sorry. Where's it coming from?
So last week I proposed that each club would have like a coach educator, which would obviously solve coaching issues where they could go and deliver level 1s, level 2s to other local teams. I was talking about the Premiership teams mainly. So I put this one in. So why couldn't that, if each club's getting paid, so if the club pays for the coach to do the CPD that's going to deliver the session, and then the club can take some of this and the coaches get a percentage of that also. That could work.
I mean, to me, it's not just a case of you have to pay coaches, because you're right, where is the money coming from? And Adam's come up with a brilliant idea to make some money there, and I think it'd be a really successful idea. It comes hand in hand with the fact that we've got our coaches, our players going abroad to earn money. We need to invest in, BAFA need to invest and sort out whether we can actually have a semi-professional league in this country. And you know what? If that means breaking away the Prem division to an elite division, then so be it. Where there is no promotion and no relegation. These days there's many ways, of watching games, whether it's streaming. I just think
I personally don't think that the semi-pro thing is the best thing for American football in Britain at this point in time. Because I feel like let's say in the next 5 years they manage to get this fucking semi-pro thing up and running, right? It's not going to help the growth of the game. All it's going to do is it's just going to attract people from overseas back in in Europe that are going to be coming back over here just looking to get paid, play football. It's not going to help the grassroots talent, and it's going to be taking resources that could be allocated to those lower levels to help grow the game.
You see, but that's simple though. You just have a roster requirement for a certain number of British players.
No, you don't need that though. That's what I'm saying. Realistically, for me, paid coaches, I think you've got it in the wrong box, if I'm honest. I think it needs to be moved up to it would be a nice to have.
Yeah, it would be a nice to have. It's not, I don't think it's a requirement.
No, but realistically, I think we need to come up with a product that sells tickets, gets people in the gate to watch the games, so the club can make money first. And unfortunately, we don't have that in this country yet. We don't have a good enough product. And you're not going to get there without having good coaches who's going to make good players.
You've got to build it from the bottom up.
From the bottom, yeah.
You cannot have a product that you can send to people building it from the top down.
Yeah.
That's literally what both New Zealand and Australia have tried to do for the past fucking 30 years, where a new regime gets brought in their version of BAFA, and then they go, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to run 3 exhibition games internationally where Australia plays New Zealand and the best football players will play in this, and we're going to televise it, and then the profits from that we get, we're going to pump into the game. And they don't, because literally all they do is they end up having a whole bunch of people that hear about the fucking fact there's going to be an international game. Athletes jump over from other sports to go, oh shit, I can earn an international jersey. So, you have like rugby league players, fucking rugby players that are playing at a decently high level, but obviously are not looking at getting an All Black jersey or a Wallaby jersey. They jump across, they play American football because they're a fucking freak athlete. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, after the game's been played, nothing happens, and then they go, "Oh, well, we'll have another international event at some point," and nothing helps with the grassroots side of it. This semi-pro product that people want to do should be the final step.
Yeah, definitely.
It should be once you are done, once you have built a sustainable product from the ground up, where you have a renewable resource of players coming in, like youth and turnover and effective coaching and a decent grassroots level game, then you go, you know what? We've got the infrastructure in place. Now we start fucking paying people and shipping this product off overseas. You don't go, look, if we build this, we can take the money from this and put it into this. It doesn't fucking work.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work. Like the semi-pro league is a fucking pipe dream, and everybody's like, well, Europe's doing it, and it's like, yeah, because that's pretty much all they fucking have. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind, right? I know it classes as semi-pro then and not amateur, but do you not think that we should be allowing it so some clubs could just pay a player? Like, if they want to pay a player, pay a player.
I feel like you should have it with, like, maybe not necessarily paying the player, but, fucking, which I'm sure clubs probably already do, but like pay as subs, pay as petrol.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, something like that could be like, so then you could do the same thing for a coach. Do you know what I mean? Like that, if you can do that for a player, like surely you could be able to do that for a coach.
I'm pretty sure clubs are doing that for players off the books anyway, because I think the way that the insurance is, I'm pretty sure the way the insurance is stacked, you're not allowed to pay your player because it stops it being an amateur league, avoids the insurance, all that bullshit.
Completely right.
But I'm sure that there are still clubs that do it anyway. Like I know of certain people who were enticed to change teams because they were like, oh yeah, I'll pay your petrol, or under the table, off the books. Like, it happens. But yeah, I feel like at a coach level where you are, even if the coach is fucking traveling on the bus with everybody, or like, I don't see an issue in recompensating them for their time. But it's you've just got to sort of look and go, where's the money coming from? If you can sustainably do it,
for me, that's got to go there.
Well, it definitely goes hand in hand with sustainability. Completely agree. If you can't afford it, you can't pay your coaches. But you what it will do is it will make the coaches, work better, try and work harder and earn money. It's kind of, for me, it's a revolving door situation in regards to that. Coaches will work harder if they think that there's a chance of getting paid. At the end of the day, I believe that certain university head coaches will get paid.
A lot of uni coaches get paid.
Yeah.
So why not the cream? The cream of the Prem?
Because I'm assuming the funding probably comes from the student union. At which point,
that's why. But then also,
the university has a lot more fucking influx of money coming in.
I get that. Again, it comes down to sustainability. But if you said to, the players, look,
uni coaches get paid because universities want to make sure they've got a qualified person that they can trust running their team. Because a lot more shit's going to happen for a university if one of the players gets hurt by an unqualified, uninsured coach.
Yeah.
But in today's world, and you could say that with anything, for me, it's just the case of, like I say, it's a revolving door situation. Obviously, you can only afford to pay them if you can afford to pay them. Don't be paying if you can't. And
it becomes a bigger shitstorm though when you're looking at a university institution than you are when you're looking at a fucking random little American football club with 55 people that are registered, or 155 people that are registered. Like if somewhere like fucking Birmingham University or something hits the paper that they had a kid injured in the training because the coach wasn't qualified, that is fucking... Yeah. That's way worse than getting it in the local fucking paper that, I don't know, is there a team from Birmingham that plays just in regular adults?
Yeah, the Bulls.
Samwell.
Popping up that Samwell, old mate from Sandwell, blew his ankle out because the coach had him fucking running with tyres down a hill and wasn't qualified.
I'd like to do that drill.
But, yeah, so what Ryan's mentioned in the chat is probably a bit more palatable, is that saying that coaches should at least have their travel expenses, or I'd maybe extend that to other expenses covered as well. Like, it shouldn't cost them to be a coach.
No.
But, at what level do you bring that in? I can imagine... It's funny, though, because people talk about with levels, they sort of... It's like there's this weird assumption that when you're Div 1 and when you're Prem, you got more money. You don't. You've still got players paying subs, and roughly roughly the same number of players, unless you're one or two of the odd teams that have just got a ridiculous number. But you don't. It's not like the Premier League where one position's worth £500,000 to the club. So you need to try and finish as high up the league as you can.
The BBC aren't paying fucking TV rights to watch Maidstone versus Hastings.
So, I agree. I think if anyone's going to get paid, I've always said the coaches should be first people to get paid and have money put towards them. So I do agree with that. But in terms of, there
is a little bit more accountability though. The higher you go, in terms of players are more likely to be paying their subs. When you reach
where what
it's more like I'm thinking more of the top teams where there's a little bit more accountability in terms of they are,
Mate, at the end of the day, the best coaches should get the best incentives.
Yeah, and that's what I like about the.
Is Steve frozen? Or has Steve had such a meltdown? No, I thought you'd had such a meltdown from me saying that people at the top level were more inclined to pay their subs, that you've just shat the bed and you're like,
no. I think I get what you're saying, in that the club have got a bit more leverage at that level, because they'll say, we'll bench you if you don't pay.
Because we've got, unless you're a fucking perennial,
But that's
GB
exactly
player.
what happens, right? They get a bit thin through injury on a couple of positions, or they've just got a couple of out-and-out, studs. And
it's also easier to get sponsorship at that level as well. It's a lot easier for somebody like Tony Allen to walk into a fucking place and go, look, we are the best American football team in the UK, for what that's worth. Can we fucking count on you for an influx of cash, and we'll put you on our jersey?
I can remember Marvin Allen posing with someone, shaking his hand at the beginning of last season when they got some money, but it's a lot. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that though. Yeah, when you can sit there and, I don't know, if the Warriors have gone out and got a ring for every one of their fucking titles, and you bring in the wheelbarrow with every ring that you've won in the last 20 years, and you go, this is how good we are. As opposed to old mate from Hastings turning up in another team's kit and going, well, we'd really like you to give us money so we can actually get our own jerseys.
Yeah, but that doesn't. So what I think teams fall foul of is that's like a fantastic state to be in, and that's limited to a handful of clubs across this country, right? But there are the majority of clubs that don't qualify and don't have that status and can't say those stories to corporate entities, and what I don't want them to do is give up and think, or we aspire to do that when we're that successful. There's stuff that every club can do immediately to,
of course,
to bring money in, right?
I think it was you I spoke to about.
Famously, have you guys heard of the Swarco
Raiders?
Tyrolean.
Yeah.
Do you know why they're sponsored by Swarco? No? Well, the I think it's the managing director, his son played for them.
Right.
Years ago, and he was like, here's the money, and he carried on putting it in.
But it's also at that level, I found when playing rugby, the better club that I've gone to, or the higher up that I've gone, players are more inclined to go out and look for sponsorship on their own. So for rugby back home, to play for the Division 1 team, you have to have your own individual sponsor. So what happens is you go. It sounded like someone just died in Adam's house.
Yeah.
But you go. What happens is obviously to pay for your kit. So your fucking traveling tracksuit, your bag, your everything, you have to have a sponsor. And then what happens is they go on your jacket, on your fucking jersey, on the weekly program that goes out. They say, number 13, rah, sponsored by. But the thing is, it's up to that player to go out and get that fucking sponsorship. And if you don't get that sponsorship, then you don't get the kit. And then if you don't get the kit, you don't get to play. Yeah. And you're more inclined to do that as opposed to average Joe Bloggs at a fucking Div 2 level who wants to go out and have a run around with his mates.
Yeah. So, I actually tried to bring something similar into when they asked me at the Knights about 6 years ago to pull together some.
You put together a document and you shared it with me, and and then they did fucking nothing with it.
Yeah, but part of that, if you remember, and you may not, but part of that I put in was I think a £350, £400 or whatever per head player sponsorship, right? And what we said to the players was, if you get one of these, then you do not pay subs. So the idea was that the subs were like 180 quid or whatever, I don't know, but the idea was that the sponsorship covered the subs for that player, plus the club got additional money on top of it. You know full well how many people signed up to that, right? Like, because the club didn't embrace it. But no, I think incentives like that would go a long way. And another incentive that I asked the club for that they didn't want to do, and that's why I stopped. But as I said, I come from like a sales enablement working life. And in that, if you want someone to sell for you and bring money into your organisation, you compensate them, right? And I said to them, look, if you want me to, I didn't mind putting the prospectus together and all the packages and everything, but I said, if you want me to go and bring money in and actually, activate this and work on it, I want 10% of the money that I raise. And I put all of the packages up so that 10% could be paid as a sales commission, and it wouldn't impact. Obviously, it would impact profit, but it wouldn't like make anything a net negative or anything. And the club didn't want to do it, and I was like, well, you either have 90% of whatever I can do, or 100% and nothing, And
that's the fucking issue, right? Yeah. At one thing I've noticed in Britball is so many people don't want to do the work.
No, exactly. They love the idea of everything, but no one wants to get stuck in.
Everybody wants it handed to them for free. Mm-hmm. And that is why I think things like the semi-pro league and shit like that won't work, because it might work for people from overseas.
Yeah.
But the British attitude will just be like, well, I expect to turn up on game day and fucking run out on the field like a superstar in this televised league where I am fucking amazing, but everything's done for me, because no one wants to do the hard graft.
Yeah.
And I've reached the point now where I don't want to do the fucking hard. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not playing anymore. It's because I can't be asked. I do just want to turn up on a fucking... And that's why I enjoy playing social rugby, because it's just like I pay like 100 quid a year, and then I can just turn up on a Saturday, maybe turn up on a Wednesday and play touch, because that's the fitness, because all the other cunts in the team are in their 40s. They're all old bastards. So it's like I'm overweight, and I'm still faster than all you cunts because you got osteoporosis. And that's the part that I enjoy. And that's what people want to do in their prime. And it's no one cares, and the thing is, no one really cares about the growth of the British game.
No.
Because they're like, well, I'm only going to play for 5 years, and then it can just fuck off, and I don't care.
Then I'm going to get married and have kids.
That's it.
I agree with that. That does exist, but the example I gave you there was actually someone willing to put in hours and willing to put in effort, but the club didn't want to, agree to the terms. And you guys may listen to it and think, oh, that was, I don't know, and other people listening to this may listen to it and think, well, you were sort of trying to hold them ransom, but I think it was quite fair, you know.
How is it holding them ransom when you're doing
It's
all
not.
of the...
Well, no, but I'm trying to be, I suppose, more objective or devil's advocate in it. But I genuinely believe that and I know sales, right? But like, if you want to motivate someone, you've got to give them some sort of incentive, right? And I was looking to, because there was like a club sponsorship package which had all this other stuff, and it would like set up money to sort out a media team to look after social media and recording and all this stuff. And I don't know if you remember it, but that package, that club level package was like, I think we put 60 grand on it as a price tag. That's like, so working out at 10%, that would have been £6,000 to the person who sold it. Well, if that carrot's dangling in front of you, you're gonna, how much work are you willing to do to try and bring that business in? And I was ready to do it, right? But they didn't want to.
£4,000 for the club's better than nothing, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Well, that's it, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you would have 90% of everything I bring in, or 100% of everything I don't.
That's unfortunately the archaic approach of a lot of teams these days.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of teams would follow that same. And at the end of the day, if you bring in 10 grand, they're only paying you £1,000. It's not a case of and if you bring in nothing, they pay you 10% of nothing. Like, they had nothing to lose from it, and
it's such a British attitude.
It is.
Right?
It completely is.
I think
one thing I've
there needs
noticed
to
while
be
being
some
over here.
forward thinking in terms, like, so. And look, another thing, Oz, on your point about people not wanting to do anything, right, and not wanting to like try new things. Both Gridiron Hub and Hail Mary Hits have given away cash prizes, right, for free to clubs, right? And both of them, so we've done it in different ways at different times where you've had to sort of qualify or speak to us and get votes. But we've both run contests where all you had to do was share Facebook
and the
posts.
participation levels, you look at them and they're through the floor.
Our one was £1,000. We'll give your club £1,000, and to be in for that, you have to share a post. And Hail Mary Hits was £5,000, right? And they had something like 28 clubs, maybe 30 clubs. I can't remember the number, but a low number of clubs going into that.
It should have been every club.
I don't know why every single club in the UK didn't try and get that £5,000.
I'll tell you why it is. Because they're all run by people who played football in the 70s and they don't know how to use the internet.
But so if I'm playing for a club,
as a player,
I see this on, but I'm a player, right? And I see this on Facebook, and people are liking it and commenting on it, and you can see, because obviously the more it gets shared, the more people see it, right? So you might see it 2 or 3 times in a day or a weekend, and surely, if that's my club, I'll be extremely pissed off as a player if my club aren't trying to get involved in those.
You'd be sharing it in your team pages and everything, wouldn't you? Can you like this, guys?
At the same time, it comes into the lottery thing, though, doesn't it? It's like people are looking at it and they're like, oh well, I see that £5,000 and there'll be so many clubs entering in it. Like, why would we even bother? Like, it's people just, they cut off their nose to spite their face. And I'm not saying they're doing the right thing. They just go, oh, we're not going to win it, so why even bother entering? And it's such a stupid attitude. That's not just a British thing. That is a worldwide thing. You can go to any fucking country in the world and you will see people that are like that. The thing that I was about to say, which is such a British thing, and it's, why pay someone to do something when I can do it myself? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they just don't do it because they can't be asked.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, why would I pay?
Do you know what? And I think that was the problem, was that there was like people on the committee volunteering their time for free and all that, and they weren't getting paid. And I was like, well, I don't care. You're looking for a specialist skill that you're telling me you don't have, and I've got it. And I'm talking about a commission payment, so
it's payment upon receipt of delivery.
Like, no win, no fee. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what we're doing here. But anyway, I mean, I do quite like the idea of sharing that, that knowledge wider within Britball and see if people jump on it and are interested in it. But
and then the other thing is, though, you run into people with egos.
Yeah. Well, I think that is ego based.
Britball is massively massively egotistical.
Yeah, agree.
Where you just like there's people and the thing is, it's the people with the biggest egos always end up in the position of power in some way, because they are willing to sort of have a pissing contest with someone, at which point the non-confrontational side of Britball of the British people comes out, and they're like, you know what, it's not worth the hassle. I'm not bothered.
Completely agree.
And then you end up with old fucking Dickless McGee running everything, just being an absolute twat who's all ego, and he's like, oh, we don't need that, we don't need this. I'll do that. I'll do this, and then the dickhead does none of it.
Yeah.
And everybody who's watching this stream right now, you know that person in your club.
So tag them in the comments.
Tag them in the
The big thing is, right, and I'm going to stare into this fucking camera as I say this, right?
Oh,
if you don't know who that person is in your club,
it's you.
it's you.
Right, I've noticed one of your things has gone there that was there. Where's that gone?
I can't. We're running out of time, mate. So I was like, I've got to.
Running out of time. We've got all the time.
I'm already like 45 minutes over. I'm invested now.
Basically, what he said was no player coaches, but we've kind of covered that. I think.
We haven't. No, we haven't. I really want to talk about that. But before we, just to cap it off, another Ryan Cummins comment. He said, when it comes to sponsors for teams, though, I have seen it. I have seen that it would only last for, say, one season, and then the business would be out. But I understand the businesses need to see benefits from the continuing support.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Don't interrupt me. Wait. And then he says, but as Oz has said, people here in the UK don't see the sport as a great investment, unlike the likes of rugby, football, etc. So again, it's interesting you raise that, because again, with that deal, that 10% thing, I was looking to try and get a club sponsor for like 5 years, like signing big deals, because why not? And one of the things I think people don't understand with these sponsorships, when people feel like there's a bit of trepidation asking a club for this money. Well, this money they would pay to the government in tax anyway, because it's tax deductible.
You can do it as a tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off. So if that doesn't give everyone the confidence in the whole of Britball to go out there and start asking for money, every club, I don't know what will. You're asking for money that they're actually going to give to the government. So why not convince them to give it to you, and they get some benefit out of it?
Go and find a local printing firm and ask them for sponsorship. Then guarantee you'll get all of your team's merch and things done at their shop.
That's what we did for rugby back home, right? Yeah. If we were looking for a team sponsor, not for player sponsors, we would go to the local pub. And the thing is, there's so many fucking pubs in Britain that a team could probably go to 4 in like a 3-block radius of where they practice or play. We would go to that pub and we will say, look, you sponsor us, we will drink here after the game. We will eat here after training. We will do this. We will do that. The money that we will spend going back into your place will be paid to you double of what you give to us in a lump sum.
When I was 19, my rugby team did that with a local nightclub, and then we all got banned.
but I think there's a common misconception with business. Like, they have to see a return. Like, a lot of businesses, they know they're sponsoring for no return.
Yeah, that's kids though.
Well, it's not, though. It's at the end of the day, if you can help out the community, you can help out the community. As somebody who is involved in making sponsorship decisions for the company I work for, the minute...
Sponsor Baffa then. Sponsor Baffa.
To be fair, I'm like I said, that Baffa actually paid me $2,000 to make this appearance. So. Shout out to Baffa.
Baffa paid you $2,000 to come sit on our show, and you couldn't fucking pull your face out.
It's not always about ROI, and you're not trying to be a business partner with them. You're just trying to get sponsorship money, and there's a huge difference. And I completely agree. I think there's this huge stigma around. I've got I'm going on fucking Dragon's Den or whatever. I'm pitching them an idea, and it's not. These people they're benevolent. They know how it works. They know what they can do for you, and a lot of them are willing to do so. Like I got a friend of mine who him and his mates created a 7-a-side rugby club for a summer. Because what they wanted to do was tour around Europe, playing loads of sevens tournaments. Just after they finished uni, right? So they went out and they got sponsors for everything: their kit, their cars, their fuel, their food, their accommodation, and their kits were covered in logos, their bags and everything. And they did it, and they actually made money. At the end of it, they gave each other, I think there was like 800 quid left over between the 10 or 11 of them.
Yeah, but
if that doesn't inspire, like if they can do that just for a single summer of sport, convince so many clubs, companies to give them money, surely you, with an established Britball team behind you, that's a number of people involved, a number of kids involved, etc., should be able to convince someone to give you some money.
Teams need to target what they're going to use.
That's it. Put your logo on your kit. Hang a banner at the side, at the back of the fucking field.
Yeah.
Right. There's plenty of things that you can promise to these companies to say, look, if you give us money, we'll make sure that you guys are seen. And not only seen around here, but we have away games in Derby, we have away games in Manchester, we have away games in Scotland. We'll slap it on the side of we'll put posters in the side of the bus when we drive up the M1.
This is something that teams don't really go for. Why don't they ask a bus company to sponsor them?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Get that on the logos, get it on the jerseys, whatever. Why don't they ask like a print shop to sponsor them and then get the merch from there and have the logo on the tops and hoodies and things that they sell? So they've got the team and then the company that they got it from. These companies will pay you to wear their shit and use their company. Like, it's as simple as that. You're going to get a discount off a bus company as well as getting money from them. And you're going to get a discount from a printing company as well as using it that you're going to use.
The thing is, it's for the devil's advocate side of it, it's the rejection. It's because they go to one company.
Do you know what it is?
They go to one company. They walk in and they go, blah, 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 do you want to sponsor me? And the company goes, nah. And then they walk out of there feeling like an absolute twat, and they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I give
it. You're right.
And that's exactly what it is.
But you're ignoring the build-up as well. They would have built up, they would have thought about what we're going to say and plucked up the courage, as it were, to get knocked back, right?
Yeah, the thing is, they would have sat there and they would have talked with everybody else in the club, and they're like, we're going to go into this place, we're going to get this money, and we're going to get these bags, and we're going to get these jackets, and we're going to get these fucking track pants, and then our jerseys are going to look like this, and we're going to have this, this, and this. Then he walks in, the guy turns him down, his whole dream shattered, and he just gives up.
Mate, we went into Morrison's, right? So it was around Christmas, actually. So we went into Morrison's and done a bag pack and earned £700. £700, only there 3 hours, £700. From a bag pack. Why don't clubs go and do it?
Yeah. The truth is, you throw 10 darts at a dartboard, you only need one to hit.
We did fundraising. We did fundraising when I was. It probably won't work as well in the UK just because it rains all the fucking time. But when I was playing rugby for under 15s in New Zealand, we were fundraising to go to the Gold Coast in Australia, and we were going to play a tour over there. And the trip for the whole team to go was going to cost about 35 grand, give or take. And we went out and we went to local farmers and we picked their pumpkins for them. We held fucking sausage sizzle. What you guys? I don't know. You guys don't do the sausage sizzle thing, but what it is essentially is you set up a fucking barbecue outside of a Tesco with a shitload of sausages. Funnily enough, you buy a bag of onions, you buy loaves of bread, and you sell hot fucking barbecued sausages.
Why don't you just call it a barbecue? What do you guys call it?
It's a sausage sizzle.
Did you make lemonade?
Doesn't Oz look like the person that should be picking pumpkins? So
yeah,
pumpkin picker.
I look like the motherfucker that you hang up on the. I'm the scarecrow hanging in the.
Just come waddling in with these pumpkins.
Yeah. No, and that was the thing, and we fucking loved it. We absolutely what did we do? We picked grape, we did everything, and we got the 35 grand in like 2 months because all of us just decided that we'd go help out the local community, and
that's what's missing, I think, in Britball. There's not enough, and it's got to be local community. There's not enough of a local focus with clubs. Like I've said this a few times. The amount of times that I running Gridiron Hub that I get people messaging me saying, I know that any club in the country saying, "Oh, we're looking for players. Can you post our poster?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, I'll help you out." But it's going national, or even international. You know that, like it. I don't understand that they think like that, and then that's it. They're done. You know, like for me, like a good, and this is another topic altogether, but player recruitment. You should be going around like local gyms and speaking to local people and getting them involved in, you know, and getting your club out locally within the community, helping out, I don't know, a local fete or whatever. You know, we'll just carry stuff if you want. What do you want us to do today? Like, that's how you build a club up, right?
Because nobody wants to do the
work. And that's
work.
it. But on your point, Oz, of pumpkin picking and all that stuff, let's say you arranged that and you went through all the trouble of setting stuff up, and I guarantee you this will have happened. Not pumpkin picking, but you know, someone would have set something up within the club, spoke to someone, got dates arranged, and then 3 people turned up.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. But because the thing is, for us, we knew if we didn't raise this money, we weren't going to Australia for 2 weeks. We were not getting on. And the thing is, that whole fucking 35-40 grand that we were to have was to cover flights, accommodation, a spending money stipend that we were getting given every single day, like because Australia's expensive in comparison to New Zealand. But there's something like as a like just a person that loves food. If I see somebody set up with a fucking barbecue outside of Morrison's and they're charging me £1,
a barbecue? What do you mean, a sausage sizzle?
Yes, exactly, mate.
Did you sell lemonade?
Yeah, no. So if I see someone with a sausage sizzle with a fucking and they're charging me £1 for a buttered piece of bread with a hot sausage on it with some onions and some ketchup, mate, I am loving life.
I'm calling them a robbing bastard. £1 for that.
Just a quick one.
So we charge $1, so it's equivalent 50p.
Oh man, I'm getting 12.
But that's the thing, right? And the thing is, because it's a little bit harder to do in the UK because it pisses with rain all the time, and no one wants to stand there in the rain. But the thing is, people would buy them. I'll tell you that much. But like when you're out, you know, you're going to do your groceries, and you're just like, oh fuck me, I could do a hot snag right about now. And then you have like you have a can of Coke, like a box of Coke that you've bought from the fucking Morrison's you stand in front of, and you sell them a can for 50p as well.
I'll tell you what, January the 1st, I'm doing that outside of gyms.
Yeah. Oh. You're gonna ruin a lot of people's New Year's resolutions.
Probably the worst time to do it, but yeah, it's fine.
You don't need to go to the gym. Come have a sausage sizzle. Come on.
Seriously, right, let's move off of this stuff. I do think this is. I mean, we've gone completely off piece, but we've stayed within the realm of helping clubs, which is good. But I think we should actually I think we should have a wider discussion one day about sponsorship. I know we talked a lot here, but maybe with a view to actually helping these clubs out and structuring something. That might be my next big thing that we do with this podcast. But we'll have some fun shows in between.
Steve Price, the philanthropist.
Yeah,
we get Tinder version so people can just swipe if they want that sponsorship.
But so just to wrap up the sponsorship thing, you guys will know this because I posted about it in our Discord, right? Just as an example of the most recent example that I've tried to get sponsorship for something. So Gridiron Hub are doing starting. I'll post about it on Friday, but we're going to start doing the NFL game picks. So the picks league where people submit who they think is going to win each game. They get it right, they get a point. Those points add up and they get put into a league, right? And we're going to get all the guys in Gridiron Hub involved this year, and there's going to be prizes available, right? And NFL related prizes, so caps and jerseys, and I don't want to pay for that. That's expensive stuff. So I literally contacted one supplier and said, this is who we are, or this is what we want to do. This is how much it should cost you. This is how we're going to use the information, and this is what we're going to do with your brand. And the guy just straight away went, yeah, and that was it, done. These things don't have to be like massively drawn out and loads of information. It can be quite quick and quite straightforward. You just need to, you need to think, tell them what's in it for them. Tell them, what it would mean to you guys as well, because that's always important. That can be, in a way, that could be something that's in it for them. But it's about structuring this stuff correctly, and that's what I want to sort of help out with. But it's not tough to go and do it. It's not hard to go and get this stuff done. It's just you need someone, as I said, that's going to say I'll do it, and then they actually will carry it out.
If you and your team are struggling with sponsorship and you've been knocked back, get in touch with Steve. He'll run a training seminar and he'll take 10% of what you make.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind. I would set up a team of people, a consultancy, and get that done. Easy. Anyway, right, let's move on to the next one. We were on that one a hell of a long time, but we covered a lot of stuff. And you moved it away, Will, but we got you to move it back. No player coaches.
Only in the Prem. And it's for me, it's under I'd like to have. I just think coaches should concentrate on coaches and players should concentrate on pro.
What about a positional coach or a coaching assistant? Oh, sorry, not a positional, a coaching assistant that helps run drills?
Coaching assistant, not so fussed about, but positional coaches are not. I just don't think they should be players. I don't think linebackers should be putting other linebackers on the pitch whilst putting themselves on the pitch. It's difficult to coach from being on the pitch. Having been a player coach in the past, I quickly stopped that and chose coaching over playing because I couldn't do that. And I just think in the Prem, certainly, this is our top division. This is where our best players should play. There should be no player coaches.
I
See,
100%
where
agree.
you've got that there, I think that should be down for all of them.
Oh, bloody hell, I can't win here.
No, what?
I think it would be a nice to have for all of them. It can't be mandatory because there is going to be teams in Div 2 that are going to be struggling to have positional coaches.
Yeah, completely agree. That's
That's what I mean. It should be like a goal
so we should
for everyone.
aspire to not have player coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, right,
Yeah,
player
I agree,
coaches,
man.
like Will said, is there's a conflict of interest. And one of the biggest things that I saw, right, is recently I saw a post about a coach who mentioned he might have a comeback just to prove that he can do it.
Right.
Right. So that was the thing. He was like, it was obviously like, and it seems like a little bit of an ego thing, where someone has mentioned that you can't do it anymore, and he's looked and he's like, well, I might have to come back just to prove that I can.
Right. Okay.
And it's
took it as like a gauntlet being thrown down.
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's not fucking helping anybody because you're put in that position to coach to nurture talent and bring it through.
Yeah.
It's your role as a coach is to do what's best for the team, right? I don't care if you're talented as fuck, right? You've stepped away from playing and you're now focusing on coaching. Your job is to bring through the next level, the next, everybody that's going to be following on. It's not to stroke your ego and to feel better about yourself because someone says they don't think you've got it anymore. Doesn't matter what they fucking think, right? So player coaches, there is a massive conflict of interest.
I had to do it this year. I had to be a player coach this year. And
you played quarterback, didn't you?
Mate, I had to play quarterback, yeah. Mate, look at me. Look, that is not a quarterback, but I got to play quarterback. But anyways.
Baggy? Is that you?
No, but honestly, right? So basically our head coach, he had issue. He couldn't make this game anyway. So he'd said, he had the OC, the DC there, and I was never going to play for the team. I was just the kids' academy coach. I was not anything to do with the adult team. But he'd said, you've been head coach of games before. Can you go be the head coach? Let the OC, DC do their thing. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll go up. Just filling out the paperwork sort of thing. Get to stand there, make sure everything goes right. We got there. Well, in fact, we got to the bus. We had players not turn up. So we didn't have many players there. So I was like, I'll get kit on. If I need to go on and play some offensive line or something, I can do it. No problem. So I'm only a year out of the game anyways. That's fine. I'm still fat, so I can play offensive line. So I was like, right, got there. Straight away, quarterback injured. I look along. I goes, right, so who's the next quarterback? We don't have one. I was like, right, well, I've seen it on telly. I'll give it a go.
Seen it.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, at this point, I'm supposed to be head coach.
I've watched Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I can do this. I'm one of them guys that can run with the ball. I can do it. Right, so it was basically, I was trying to be head coach on the pitch while they're calling in plays that I have never run, ever. I have nothing to do with the senior team, so I've never run these plays. So I go in the huddle and go, right, so let's run this play.
Get open.
And the line looks at me and goes, why are you here? I go, well, there's no one else, boys, so this is what we're going to have to do. So it come to a point where I had to turn around to the OC and DC and say, listen, DC, you can crack on, do what you need to do, but OC, your just watching today because I'm going to make up plays here on the spot. And this was against East Kilbride. And for being in the division that they were in, East Kilbride hit. Like, they seen me as a little fat Geordie man and just thought, I'm going to tee up on this poor little sod. And just...
I'd do exactly the same.
Yeah, just teed off on us all day.
I mean, I'd do that in the street, let alone on the field. So.
And I can tell you now, I could not be a head coach and be on that pitch at the same time. I couldn't be an offensive coordinator because I was having to call the players and think, shit, what did we do 3 or 4 plays ago?
Yeah. It's not even that. You can't. Like the main thing that OCs and DCs and stuff are doing is they're observing.
Yeah.
You call your play, and then what you should be doing is you should be watching how, like, if you're an offensive coordinator and you call your play, you should be watching how the defense reacts to your play.
Yeah.
You should be watching what works. And the thing is, you need to be looking at not just what your quarterback's doing, but are your linemen coming out of their stance in time? Is your Is your running back missing his blocks? Things like that. And you can't, when you're sitting there, like you say, as a fat, short Geordie bastard who's scared because Scotsmen in kilts are coming to kill him on the field.
Mate, I'm not going to lie. I didn't have time to see what was going wrong. I was just getting the ball and getting hit. That's all I can remember was happening.
I don't mind it if the player coach in a lower level is the bottom of the depth chart.
Yeah. No, I don't. What I don't mind is, if they're a player coach, but they have no overall responsibility, as in they're not an OC, a DC, or a head coach, then yeah, go on and do something. Because there's someone else above you calling players. Like, I'm telling you, as someone that has done it, I cannot do it. I do not want to do it again. I've had to do it twice. I had to do it against East Kilbride, and I had to do it against Aberdeen. And honestly, I would not recommend it to anyone. And I tell you now, I had to get someone else to take over the responsibility of the team because what would happen if I was head coach and I got knocked out?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, I should not have. It was a position that was forced upon us. I had to do it. Otherwise, we would get a long trip home. So I played, and it was lucky that we had enough coaches there on the sideline that could take over. But I'm telling you now, you should not do it. If you're a coach...
If you're one of the big three.
No, I disagree. I think positional coaches shouldn't play either. That's what I did. I was a positional coach. I was a defensive backs coach, and I played safety. Now, I can't watch what my corners are doing because I'm watching the QB, I'm watching my man, I'm watching my zone.
Yeah, but you've got the DC there to look over that.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's got his own shit to handle. So I see Will's point on it.
Yeah, I agree with Will's point.
It's going to be a luxury. It's going to be a luxury that a lot of teams in Div 2 aren't going to be able to afford to themselves. Like, you will find that your D-line coach will probably play, or your fucking, like Will said, your DB positional coach will probably play, or your running back coach will probably play. But I would
love it, the big three, to not be allowed.
Yeah, 100%. It should just be a mandatory. Head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator should not be players on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Ryan's popped up with a couple of comments. I can't quite make sense of one, but I'll try and read it out. He says, I don't think it would matter what level a player coach would believe they are over another player and look at it for more playing time. That's what I don't understand. He said,
no, I think he's trying to say that the coach would put himself above a player.
Yeah, and the player's going to get their nose put out of joint, aren't they? Like, I paid to play this and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's too much to do as well. Rotations, making sure the players stay focused, what is being seen, interaction with the refs, etc. Yeah. So yeah.
Mate, it was a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. It was an absolute nightmare.
The refs, they obviously mandate their fucking, I don't want anybody complaining to me but the captain, or I don't want anybody complaining to me but the head coach, or something like that. And they're not going to take you as seriously if you're in like an OC, DC, HC role, and you're having to whinge at the ref on the field at the same time, because they're going to go, well, you're not being fucking, like, no one's ever going to be impartial when you're complaining.
The one thing people don't think about, right, is the head coach can call a timeout. Now, if you come on the pitch as a head coach, they announce it to all the other officials, the head coach on the pitch, he can call a timeout. That means that the sideline can't call a timeout. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the minute, the sideline can't call a timeout. Especially a quarterback, if I'm here, tunnel vision, looking at the line, and one of my players over here goes down, or is struggling, or needs something, he needs to come off, his chin straps come undone and it's going to cause a penalty, something like that. I'm not looking. The sideline can't call a timeout. Do you know what I mean? So it's little things for me. That's why I've said I'm never ever doing it again.
Can you imagine your DC playing fucking gunner on a kick return? Sprinting down the field and just gets laid the fuck out.
Right, so we'll move on to these are my ones that I added. So, and I don't really have much to say.
Well, you've missed one of mine.
Oh, have I?
One of mine. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, the token Aussie lineman.
That's the one.
That was a joke. That's why.
No, I was being serious. Every team should have token Aussie lineman.
Apparently, only in the Prem, and it's done as a would be nice to have. So
yeah,
you put it in there as a luxury. You fucking melt.
We all know.
Another one here I put as nice to have is video analysis, and I did originally have huddle, but it doesn't matter what it is. But I think there's different degrees of it, and I think that's something that we'll need to sort of flesh out at some point, but not now. But like, so it's all well and good. I've been involved with teams that have had video analysis, and it's like one camera angle that's from miles away. You can barely see what's going on, and then that gets uploaded, and that's it. Then I've had it where it's like two angles, and the coach analyzes it and tags you in stuff, and as the play's progressing, they'll put different notes in, and you can actually learn from the content, right? I think that's what, and also clubs doing that in training as well. So filming training sessions and doing the same thing. So analysing it, and you're constantly learning, right? And constantly not just learning from your own experience, but you're learning from the good and bad things that your teammates are doing, right? So I'm a big advocate of using the video analysis, and when I played the highest level I played at in the States. When I was how young was I? I was like 14.
Did you play in the States? You've never said.
They used video analysis back then. Like this is like 20 odd years ago, and it makes such a huge difference, right? So like I don't think this is like some elitist thing. You know, I think it is fine. That's why I've put it at all levels. But I think it's a nice to have because you also need, you know, as well as having the money to be able to pay for something. You also need to have the time and the expertise to be able to get the most out of that thing. It's no good having this amazing tool and just not using it to its not to its full extent, but to, you know, using the capabilities of it, right?
Not just that as well. A lot of teams, when I've used Huddle in the past, I mean, the best Huddle I've ever used was at Chester Romans, where they broke every play down. But the one thing it missed was what the play call was.
So the team that I was in, they did that. They added the play call. They added the details of the
down and distance and stuff
play,
like that.
the tackle, all of that stuff, and it helped for they did scouting on it as well. Like it was brilliant, and so you could see if they had analysed another team's film, you could see all of the plays that they made good yardage on, and you could focus on those, and you could see the situation. And for me as the defensive captain, I was like, right, this is I'd be able to figure out trends or know situationally how to improve. Like that stuff, I think is just is gold dust. And I think as a coach, I know I know as a player I value it, but as a coach, surely, they should be aspiring to have the same thing and to have that continual learning throughout the week, and not just leave it to learning instances and experiences on a Sunday.
So someone you're familiar with, Steve, Dave Gibbs,
yes.
has a massive passion for fully breaking down the film on Huddle and providing the down, distance, play call, everything. And the thing is, he goes into so much detail around it, to literally break down what happens with the entire thing. And it's because I think he has a real passion for getting it done. And the issue that comes about with that is very few people, I think, have that motivation and that passion to do that.
All the time, a very important part of that is the time.
Yeah. I don't want to sell that short. I have no idea how much time that Dave invested into doing it during the season.
Probably hours.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We could actually probably get him on for one session and get him to show people how he does it.
That'd be good.
Cool.
That would be.
He would definitely come on and do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, that was at a Div 2 level, right? But still, some of the best in-depth film breakdown that I've seen came from Dave. because he knew what he was doing, he knew what he wanted to do, and he like Will said, he had the time to do it. But it's like and I'm guessing he probably got some enjoyment from doing it, because a lot of people would look at it and see it as a slog.
Yeah.
And then if you start to resent what it is that you're doing, you're like, oh my god, I've got to break the film down. It's going to take me 4 fucking hours.
Yeah.
You know what it is, right?
You're not going to do as good of a job.
With Dave, I've had conversations about film with Dave actually, and he's the type of guy that is passionate about it. He loves it. And again, with coaching, he is the type of coach that prides himself in what he does. When he's doing a good job, like for a coach, it shouldn't just be what you're doing on the field. It's all the other things as well that comes with it.
I don't know if you follow Dave on Twitter. Yeah, I don't know if you follow Dave on Twitter, but he like the amount of like other coaches. I don't know if it's from just around here, but around the world that I see him engaging with on Twitter, like sharing huddle footage and getting and garnering tips. Like, he has a real passion for coaching, and it fucking shows.
He's a brilliant coach as well.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's awesome.
Shout out to Dave Gibbs.
Yeah, we love Dave. So that's my first bit, my first one. I just thought I think it seems quite unanimous. I think most of mine at the coaching one are quite unanimous or quite easy. I put this almost as a joke, but there is an element of seriousness to this, because Adam also added cones and balls to it. But having blocking and tackle pads, I think makes quite a big difference in terms of the creativity of the coaching sessions and what you can do. I mean, Oz, you've been there when we played on the same team, and we've been to training sessions, and it was like we always found that it was like feast on a Sunday training session and famine on a Wednesday, right? Like, Sunday was like all the bells, all the whistles, the
Sunday we had everything. Yeah, we had the AstroTurf, we had
the cameras, everything. It was like
the mats that you tackle on.
You turn up on a Wednesday and there's like 11 people and there's no
Who's got the ball?
Maybe 1 or 2 balls, right? And those sessions, Oz will tell you, and so will Murat and a couple of others, we would fuck about quite a lot, right? Because it was like we didn't take it seriously, and we wanted to win. Like, there was no, there'd been not much difference between Sunday and Wednesday, but because things weren't structured properly, and like we would just have a laugh with it. And I think things
one
like
Wednesday session, I'm gonna bring it up, Steve. I'm gonna bring it up.
Yeah,
one Wednesday.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, one Wednesday session, our offense was so fucking woeful.
You told me this.
Yeah. They didn't complete a single pass for the entire scrimmage section.
Yeah, but we were doing good as well. Like, we were putting good pressure on them.
We were playing great defense. Like, it was literally like a 5-on-5 drill sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah,
we were playing great defense, but they couldn't, like any time they actually got the ball in hand, they'd fucking drop it. And I was sitting there and I was dancing in our defensive huddle. I was sitting there, I was like, hands like feet. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And then we came out of the huddle, and I turned to Steve. I'm like, "Oi, this play, let's just fucking drop and do snow angels." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "This play." I was like, "They're so shit at the moment. Let's just drop, do snow angels." And they snapped the ball, and all 5 of us dropped, did snow angels, tight end on a slant, hit him square in the hands, and he fucking dropped it cold. And they didn't.
So they got an incomplete pass on a play where the defense laid down.
The whole defense just lay down and went like, and he didn't even see us. That's the thing. Like, if he was like, what the fuck, and like he wasn't. He was staring down the ball into his hand, and he just Brucey.
I remember, because he caught, like, we were linebackers, weren't we? And he caught it. Well, he didn't catch it. It hit his hands right near us, didn't it?
Yeah. And he was staring the fucking ball down, and he Brucey popcorn fingered it and was like, and they didn't complete a pass that entire session, and we were just like, how are we even going to win? So, and then I think we went out and we played like Hertfordshire or something that weekend, and we slapped 50 on them. Yeah. Like, it was unreal.
But so my point with that is, right, like, I think that obviously coaches having a plan, for a training session is important, but having things, the equipment and things laid out and structure to follow.
Oh yeah.
It makes the whole session, right? And even though I know that, and even though I was sort of like, I suppose, one of the more senior members of the team,
we still fucked around.
I knew. Yeah, I would absolutely, like, I still messed about, and I still caused trouble, and I still annoyed anyone, because because of this lack of structure, and that's so. I think it's also good, you know, for like safety reasons, etc., to have that stuff. But for me as a more experienced player, I find that like if they aren't going to take it seriously, then I'm not going to take it seriously.
Can I just say on the what you're saying about structured training? I'm actually being a coach of multiple sports. I'm a firm believer in structured fuckabouts. I don't know if you've ever done that. I genuinely believe a lot of skills can be learned when you're fucking about. I mean, it's got to be done structured. You can't do it for too long.
Give us an example, because I don't.
I'm not sure I'm following.
Right. So if you're a lineman, when do you go through catching drills?
In walnuts, to be honest.
When you're fucking about. This is my point.
I'll give you a good example. We play a game with something. I think it's called Kefla or something. And basically, it's a game of punting. So you separate two boxes, and they're about 20 meters apart. And basically, half the team goes on one side, half goes on the other. And you just got to punt it across to the other side, and it's got to land in the box. So if it lands in the box without anyone catching it, the person closest goes out and starts running laps. If you kick it and it doesn't make it into the box, you're out and you start going and running laps. And I promise you, it is the funniest game ever, because you'll just get people stitching each other up. Like, you'll just start getting people full-on volleying it, the 20 yards or so, straight head first, and it's honestly, it is brilliant.
I do. Some of those things are really good for team building as well. Like, but it's one of the things that I remember from the team that we were on, Steve, that like you say that Sunday training, when you come out there and you would have all of the fucking stuff ready to go. You see the tackle pads out there. You see the mats and everything out there. You see cones. Yeah, you see ladders lined up. You see cones lined up. You see fucking nets lined up. You're looking at it and you're like, right, we're going to work today. Yeah. And people like myself and you still find ways to piss around. We do, but it's like for those other players, like, you know, like the fringe players, they see it as a chance to work hard and get noticed. Yeah. Like the younger players, they will you know, be like, oh, okay, this is what actual American football training is all about. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to find the balance. Like me and you did used to piss around, and we would get told to do press ups and shit because we'd be talking and things like that. But at the same time, we would also, when it was time to do your drill,
you do your drill.
You still fucking commit to your drill. Yeah. I still remember one of my favorite training memories was on a Sunday training where I slapped my helmet on backwards and ran a blitz up the middle A gap, and I got the fucking, because I literally put my helmet. I got the sack on the play because the centre just stood there and stared at me as I blitzed the A gap with my helmet on backwards, and he was like, "What the fuck?" Which you're never going to do in a game, but it was like it was. That was our structured fuck around.
Yeah, honestly, I firmly believe.
The thing is, though, man, if someone had hit you, you would have broke your nose.
Oh, mate, if somebody it's already been broke, mate. It's fucking made of jello. Like, there's nothing left.
Anyway, so go on, Will, what were you saying?
Yeah. I was going to say, I am a firm believer in all sports of structured fuckabouts. I really am. We used to get to training 20 minutes early just to fuck about.
Yeah, if you get your nonsense out, if that's the thing, there are certain people.
There's certain skills you pick up from doing it. Like, you learn to throw a ball, you learn to catch a ball, you learn to kick a ball, you learn to move. You know, you'd be strafing sideways without even knowing you're doing it by fucking about. You know, and what I'm saying is, you know, I honestly, I would always give, you know, even if it's before drills, I'd get my DBs down and say, right, we'll get down 20 minutes early. We used to play a game called Red Zone Football. We're going to have a game of Red Zone Football. We're going to have a bit of a fuck about. And then when it comes to the time, then we're going to go. And it worked really well.
Yeah, because the thing is, that's the thing. It's a lot of people treat that Sunday session, it's a social time as well as it's training. You know, they're seeing people that if they can't make the Wednesday session, or if you know, if there was no game or something for a couple of weeks, like, you're seeing people you haven't seen in a while. Usually, predominantly, you're in a team with your mates. There's always going to be people you don't like, but you're getting to see people you haven't seen in a while. You're going to have a fucking a mess about and stuff. But if you do it in a specific time, then that gives those people a chance to get their shittiness out and then look and focus on what they're going to be doing, and you go to work.
Yeah, but how? Right, so For everyone that's watching, right, as well as you guys, like, how would you identify if you've got a shit coach? Like, how would you?
That's a deep question. I've got to think about that one.
I'm not gonna say the first thing that popped in.
No, right. I can tell you an answer straight away, right? So if you've got training on a Sunday morning.
What? Do you 1 second? Right? Do you mean if I've got a shit coach coaching me?
Yeah, if you've got a shit coach coaching you, right? I can tell you a way to identify that straight away. Okay?
I typically base it on
everyone's
their
different.
knowledge of the game and what they're telling me to do.
But everybody's different, aren't they?
No, right. The best way to figure it out for me, if you've got training on a Sunday morning, Saturday night, okay, send your coach a message and say what we're doing tomorrow. If they have not got a session plan at all, if they're just going to turn up and just wing it when they get there, you've got a shit coach.
Do you know what? To be fair, to give American football a lot of credit, now I'm coaching in soccer of just normal football. The kind of the drill plans and stuff like that. Before American football, I would never have done that. But when I became an American football coach, I learned the importance of planning out my drills, knowing exactly what I was doing going into training, so I wasn't stood still. And do you know what? It's so good being able to take them skills into another sport where, you're right, predominantly in football, in British football, the coaches just turn up and fucking wing it. Whereas I know exactly what I'm doing at what time for how long.
And that's what a coach should be like.
Yeah.
You should have your water breaks scheduled, like, and everything. Like, we're going to have a water break then, and then we're going to go straight into this drill. While I'm doing this drill, can you set up these cones because we're going to do this drill next?
Yeah.
That's real weird because for rugby, we always had everything done by the clock. Like all of my coaches always had a like you would literally see him throughout training staring at his watch, and you'd hear, all right, 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and it's the same thing. Like one of the things that opened my eyes the most was when when we went and we got to sit in and watch the University of Hawaii train for a God knows how amount of periods, and watching their fucking structured training sessions where obviously you've got the music pumping on the sideline, but you've literally got very specific people that are there for timekeeping as well that are sitting there and they're going up and they're speaking to each of the positional coaches and they're going, look, you've got 5 minutes left on this. And then it's the moment that drill finishes, it's bam, 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 like clockwork. Yeah. They're on to the fucking next one. There's none of this, right? Where's the sheet? What are we doing next? Like it's outlined at the beginning of the session. Yeah. We're doing this, then we're doing this, then we're doing this, then we're doing this. And if you're fucking about when that drill finishes and you're not on to your next one, you're in trouble.
In my academy, we even time the water break, so we say how long the water breaks are.
Yep.
And I'll say to them, as we finish the drill, the whistle will go. That will go, right, you've got 3 minute water break. Go, whistle will go again. The watch starts, and I go to my next drill. Now, if they're not there in 3 minutes, I promise you will see the captain screaming at them because they know what's going to happen if they don't get there, and they are sprinting to get there.
The thing is, you've got to find the fine balance because this is where so many coaches will think, oh, well, they're not doing the drill. This is where I fucking become drill sergeant coach, and that's not. That's not the way to do it. But so many people will revert to that straight away because you're like, you're sitting there and you're like, if you're not doing this, you're running laps and you won't play. And you won't like it's. You need to make sure it's sort of positive reinforcement, or it's this. Like you've got to sort of instill it that the timekeeping is for their benefit.
Yeah, what we do is we make them so if they're a minute late to get over to the next drill. We make them sit out that drill and watch other people doing it and having fun for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And they get so pissed off of watching other people doing the sport that they're there to do, they will not be late again.
It's a good technique.
Yeah, and I like that because it's not because the thing is there's so many coaches that would sit there and they would shout themselves red in the face, "You're fucking late. You're so shit," and it's just like. Like, and then the thing is, that's where you turn people off because they're like, "Oh, cool! I gave up my Sunday to come here and watch this old prostrated geezer."
I am too fat and get out of breath way too quick to be screaming at people.
Let's be fair though. That's the difficulty with coaching is everybody is coached differently. So one way that works for one doesn't necessarily work for another, and I think that's where certainly I got my enjoyment from coaching was to trying to work out how different people tick. And because punishing making a person do laps actually might work for somebody, whereas taking time out from a drill might work for another. It's really difficult, and you've got to have that continuity as well, and that's where coaching's great fun.
Yeah, I get that. Right?
I challenge that just because, right? I played on a team, and I was one of the better performers in that team, right? So like, and the coach held me to a higher standard because of it. And I can remember we were watching some film, and the coach, like, I did something wrong in a game, and the coach was like, "Look, what are you doing here?" and called me out and put it on screen for everyone to see, and made a big deal of like, "Don't do that. I've told you that," and like, fair enough. And then
someone else
in fourth quarter, like the backup D lineman come on. Guy can barely get into a stance, just.
Was it Oz?
No, Oz is decent. and
Oz was a lot thinner when he played.
Doesn't even get involved in a play, but just sort of chases after the ball. And the coach is going nuts, praising him off of his, like up and down, like, this is the best thing ever, like, this is fantastic. And I'm thinking, like, I was thinking, hold on, why? You just made me look like a bit of a dick in front of everyone, but now you're actually making yourself look sillier by praising up this other player. And
coach,
for me, there's no credibility in that.
Like,
why am I now going to listen to that coach? So I do agree with the different strokes for different folks, but there can't be so much disparity.
No, there's got to be a continuity to the different strokes. You've got to have your limits for sure.
Because like I said, I've been on the receiving end of it or whatever, and I just thought, oh, fuck you, like, it just wound me up. It was like, you obviously either you didn't think what I did was that big of a deal, or you're talking shit to this other player. Like, you can't. There's no way it's both ways. You can't have that same standard. So, but yeah, so I just think, I do, like, I think you need to coach in a way. You need, like, you also need the players to come to to your party, right, and sit at your table, and they have to be willing to do that, and they have to want to work for you and play for you.
Coach, that's the thing. As a coach, right, you're not there to be their best friend.
No.
You're there to help them grow, help them teach, like, help them learn. So you do need to sort of set that coach friend boundary, but you don't need to fucking scream at them until you're blue in the face to do so.
There is certain people who would learn, though, better through you being their best friend. Obviously, not the real best friend, but pretending you're. That's what I'm saying. It really is. That's where coaching is difficult, and I suppose that's why a few people will drop out of the sport, is because Adam asked the question. What do you define as a good coach? For me,
no, he defined what was a bad coach.
Yeah. Well, what's a bad coach? Yeah. Well, for me, I define a good coach as somebody who makes me, know how to tick. I was a particularly difficult person to coach.
Have you got Tourette's?
Yeah. But I know. But you know what I'm saying?
You want a coach that at training is just going to sit you, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, set you off on your ticks.
Stinky slack.
No, but like, there's like this, apparently there's 3 ways to learn and all that sort of stuff that people say. Yeah. And like, if you can hit those boxes for each drill that you do, so you show it, you demonstrate it, you get them to repeat it and them demonstrate. Like, if you hit all them, they're learning football.
Some people just go to football like they're not there to get better. They're not there. Yeah. They're literally there just it's a Sunday social. So that's the thing. That's the thing you've got to understand as well. That some people you're just wasting energy on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You set the standard on your first training session, don't you? Let's be honest. If the coach sets the standard, sets the tempo, and then the rest follow it, and if they don't like it, they get off the ship. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? And coaches need to decide, and teams need to decide how they want to roll. And if they want to be, let's have anyone turn up, that's fine.
You see, that's where it becomes a difficult problem, though, because if you're a Division 2 team with 35 players, you're trying to retain every one of them players. You don't want them to jump off the ship.
No, because you're a Division 2 team. You weren't a team before you were a Division 2 team. You were a nothing. So then when you first set up, you need to decide, what do we want to be? Are we going to be a team that's going to be challenging and pushing for things, or are we just going to be a social? Now, I've been part of teams that have been just a social. I was part of Northumberland Lightning with that horrible jersey. Like that was a social team. And that was just turn up, let's train and try to do a football thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
some of those Division 2 with teams with 35 players could probably do with cutting a couple of them anyway. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's
well, 35 is the minimum now, so
well, you get me point. You know, it's
some of them are literally there just to bump the club profits.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't like. Like, if a player is turning up and paying these subs, like, I don't know how much subs are these days. I'm not going to lie to pretend that I do, but
200 quid.
100 quid, yeah.
So like a few £100, and they're not getting no game time or nothing like that. They're just there to bump the numbers. That is disgusting.
Well, you see, right?
That's like me paying for my phone bill but getting no service every
on that point. We had a guy who was paying. I'm not going to tell you what club or when, but he was paying the full subs every year. And he wasn't getting on the pitch because it was potentially dangerous to put him on the pitch.
Now we wasn't paying any subs.
But listen, we went to him and said
he wanted to be part of the team.
We went to him and said this to him, and I expected to not see him again, and he turned up the next session. Yeah. I can't at that point go, well, we're not accepting your money. And he just loved putting on the kit, getting around the lads and, standing on the sideline cheering for.
Then what you can't do is say to him, listen, we're not going to add you to our active roster at this moment in time. We're going to keep training you, keep coming back, pay your BAFA membership fee so you're all insured and everything. And once you're trained up to the standard that you're going to get some game time, you can then start paying subs to be part of the team. So until then, you are part of the team.
Some people just want it for the profile picture.
Yeah.
So I know that, or I was told that the London Warriors, they've got a similar thing where they will say to players like, "You will not be playing for this team. You are welcome to stick around and benefit from our coaching to bring you up to the next level." But they don't say you don't pay subs. They still pay subs because they're still getting the benefit of
the facilities have still got to be paid
and they still got the attention of the coaches and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the facilities have got to be paid for still.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you're right. The facilities do have to be paid for.
I think as long
as whether that player's getting game time or not, they're still getting paid for.
Yeah, I think you need to be upfront with.
Yeah, I think
players
like I said, the way that I was, and like I haven't verified this with the club. This is something that a player's told me. I've no reason to disbelieve it, but I'm not saying anything bad about it anyway. I think it's a good way. Like they're doing it the right way. They're saying to them, look, if you want to get on the field and play, it's not with us, but we're happy to keep you around and stick around and you to learn from us and maybe in a couple of years' time you will. But like I think if a player's stuck around on those grounds, then that's fine. But to your point, Adam, if they've not been put in the picture with it and they've just been strung along with no game time, then I think there's an issue.
Not even that. If they are getting no game time at all, because let's be honest, what are people paying for membership? They're paying to get coached, they're paying to play games, they're paying to have the social life and all of that sort of aspect as well. So if they're missing a part, which is the game part, and they are getting none, I'm talking not getting a sniff. They're getting dragged up to God knows wherever to travel with, and they're standing on the sideline all the time. That is not fair on that person whatsoever.
But we're generally talking about adults who are making their own decisions.
But you can still have a vulnerable adult that's been led on by someone.
And still, you can have a vulnerable adult. But if you've spoken to somebody, told them they're not going to play because it's not safe to, but they still want to pay and still want to turn up, then that's their decision.
But did you give them the option of not paying?
Yeah, we suggested different positions in the club he may be interested in.
Yeah, but if he does still want to do the training to get better, did you say to him, you can still train with her, you paid your BAFA membership, you are insured, we are not going to take the full percentage of your money because you're not going to get any game time.
That wasn't my decision. That wasn't my decision as a coach.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying as a club, I think clubs need to set a moral standard, man.
I disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. I think if a player knows his position within the team and still chooses to pay, he's got two options, hasn't he? We're not talking about children here. We're talking about adults, and I know you mentioned the terminology vulnerable adults.
I know we're not talking about children because I'm still under the impression kids should play for free.
Well, that's a different conversation, and I actually agree with you. But if
nobody gets put on the field, like everybody gets put on the field once, right? That's the thing. Like you don't get not put on the field unless the coach has seen you, sort of thing. So coaches generally have they'll have a general idea of how good or bad you are, right? So the thing is, if you're getting put on that field and they know you're bad, unless you're fucking delusional, you know you're bad.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, but there should be an aspect of coaching where you do things without pads, without kit, and all of that sort of stuff before you're even allowed to put the stuff on. Do you know what I mean? Like, that should be, you should gradually go through the steps to be able to put your kit on.
Yep.
Yeah, like, people aren't going to pay like those trash people aren't going to pay that £200 to be fucking put through walkthroughs for
just
12
on that
months.
point, Oz, the guy that that was actually the guy that told me about the Warriors. He's actually watching, Jordan, and he's come up and said I was slightly wrong. He said the development players, so they call them development players. They don't pay full subs, so they're paying, but they don't pay full subs.
Is this Jordan?
There we go.
Yeah, Jordan Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Jordan. You tiny. How's your unbreakable phone doing?
Oh. Anyway, right. So Ryan, I just want to read out Ryan's comments because he's been commenting all along, and I haven't read any out. But he said he mentioned, Adam, your game that you mentioned about the kicking into the box and the laps. He said I've played that great game. Ryan said, I have a drill that I use in training where I make a big rectangle box and have ball carries and blockers on one side and tacklers on the other. And they
Does he call it as no square?
Sounds like bulldog.
Open space,
It sounds like Oklahoma drill.
yeah. Send us a diagram.
We have we have a full field Oklahoma drill where you start under each set of goalposts.
Yeah, just run at each other.
You sprint the fucking field and clash heads.
Don't
the
leave
team in the middle show bulldog first.
Yeah. Ryan also said someone who doesn't know how to adapt with numbers, we have as training can I don't know what he's saying.
They get Ryan's from Grammarly.
Huh?
Like, is it your reading or is it his writing?
No, it's his writing. Have a look on Facebook.
Can we get him Grammarly for Facebook?
Have you seen how much it improved me?
Someone who doesn't... Well, I'm going to read it word for word, right? Someone who doesn't know how to adapt with numbers, we can have as training, can have, say, lots of players coming the night before, but then on the day, less numbers. So have a plan, but then have a backup plan too, so adapt.
Right, you're right. I get him. He's talking about the coaching plan.
That gave me a fucking aneurysm.
He's talking about the coaching plan, so a coach can't adapt with the numbers. So
yeah,
you're expecting 40 players to turn up and then only 20 turn up. That's what he's talking about.
And then he says, ever heard of the term active listening? Yes, I have, as it's worth doing that, and it's something I do better to... I do to better understand the players, coaches, and also parents around me. Yeah, cool. I know about active listening.
Right. I didn't realise it's fucking quarter to 10.
Yeah, should we stop there? Because that's 2 hours we've been going.
I got to go back to work.
Well, I thought we were doing players tonight.
No, well.
We haven't even got there.
We just got through. The other thing that's on here is teams paying for coaching registration. Oh, sorry, I'm moving the wrong thing. Which we've already covered.
Yes,
and then the other thing that I had in here, I put you need to have at a Prem level is midweek practice.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. Only at Prem level.
Yeah, that's what I put.
No.
I think. Can we fucking? Is there a way that we can copy that? Because I feel like
put it in Div 1 as well.
Oh, no, right. What, to have it as a nice to have up here?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Cool. All right, guys. Let's chop that one off there.
You think we're there? You think Div 1 should? It would just be nice to have a midweek practice. Do you not think that should be a thing?
For me, midweek practices come down to numbers. You again, it's adults. They have family, they have wives, they have children, they have jobs. If you can't get down to a midweek practice, you shouldn't be punished.
I don't know how it is for others.
I never said I was going to get some whips and chains on me. I've just said, I think there should be a midweek practice.
Yeah, but sometimes, like me and Steve mentioned, right? So we were in Div 1, and our midweek practice garnered, our regular practice would garner 40, 50.
Yeah.
Our midweek practice would garner, sometimes not even 10.
Right, and I get that.
We didn't have access to the same facilities, so it was hosted at a completely different site because we couldn't access where we would usually train. For me and the guys that I travelled with, so that was the thing, right? There was like sometimes there'd be like 8 of us, 4 of us came in the same fucking car, and we were travelling from Portsmouth up into Surrey, so we were travelling like straight after work for a fucking hour and a half up to this midweek practice that every other bastard couldn't make. And then we were traveling. So I remember we got roadworks on the fucking A3 one time, and we ended up getting diverted into Sussex, trying to go home back to Portsmouth. And I think I got home about 1 o'clock in the morning.
And didn't even play football.
Yeah, no, it was literally just we fucking jogged around the park, and then we did some catching drills, and then we did some one-on-one DB drills. It is a nice to have because so many teams and so many people cannot commit to midweek.
Right, but things. So are we just going to define practices as just turning up, putting kit on, playing? Because what you could do in a midweek is do film study.
We had film studies as well. But
we had film and physical practice.
Yeah, but now with film, what you can't do is do it over this. So get online and do your film. Yeah,
that's what we did.
In night time.
What was it? We used Adobe, wasn't it? Adobe Connect, I think.
Again, Phil, you've got football is for me is Sunday is football. Like my wife works, most nights, and she we've got kids. Like I couldn't make film on a Wednesday. Like I can now.
Mate, you are sat on a computer right now.
That says to me that you're not. You couldn't have a Prem level commitment, so you'd.
Exactly. I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said. That's why I said for Prem. I agree.
And Div 1, I would say.
No, 50% of the roster at Div 1 is they're literally just Div 2 mentality with better skills. Like they are more talented players, but they still don't give a shit, and they're there just to play football on a Sunday.
Right.
Like you do not have the majority of your roster in Div 1 is sitting there like, I want to be the best fucking footballer that I can be.
Yeah.
I want to make GB. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's if you think it is, you are deluding yourself.
No, but I'm just saying from my point of view. So in my area alone, you've got the Northumberland Vikings, right? And now there's a hell of a lot of their players that could play in the Prem, like a hell of a lot. And I'm talking more than that wouldn't. Why in the Prem? They've lost the one game that hasn't got to get them into the Prem twice in a row. That's the only thing. It also
helps that the North is like
one game.
Is a week.
You Northerners love to talk a good game, don't you? But you don't get to the final.
I'm not part of that team. I am not part of their team.
Everybody knows the Northern Prem's like a watered down version of Southern Prem anyway.
Man, I think the Titans will disagree on that.
Scotland's even worse, man. They haven't had a Scottish team win the Britball for years, or even at all.
Does Scotland have football teams?
I thought they just did that.
Upset the brains.
I thought they literally just did that thing where they get that giant fucking wooden stick.
Chuck it over the head.
They stand there in their dresses and they just throw it over the head. Yeah, tossing the caber.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, right. Very quickly, Ryan's popped up and said, "I'm sorry for my grammar, guys." No, don't worry, Ryan.
I would have found someone else to take the piss out of you for, mate. Doesn't matter.
Plus,
midweek practice works best at uni, lol. But Defo should still have midweek practice, especially during the season. Yeah, and I think it's based on the level.
It's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to have, but to sort of mandate it is at Div 1 level is not going to happen. Yeah. I can understand it for Prem because if you're in the Prem, you're essentially trying to be the best fucking player that you can be. There should be nobody
in this country
in the Prem that just wants to put pads on for bants.
Mate, we have midweek practice at youth level.
Yeah, but youth level's a little bit easier, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Youth level, you're a kid. Like it's the same thing for rugby. We used at youth level.
Yeah, but
we used to have Tuesday, Thursday training because you know what? All I would do otherwise is I'd finish school and I'd go home and play fucking Xbox.
So are we saying then that youth is a better standard than Div 1 then? Because if you're saying Div 1 don't need it.
Okay, well why don't you put the best Div 1 team against the best youth team and answer that question?
Can we stream it on Gridiron? That'd be amazing.
It's a different level of commitment.
We're not saying that at all.
Well, to be fair, if you're going off age ranges, couldn't Bristol enter in that then?
You've got...
I don't get the reference. Carry on.
If you're going like the best junior youth team, you could put Bristol in there, couldn't you? To play against the best Div 1 team.
Yeah, but they're going
to have a new
design program.
They're going to have a Uniball team next year, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that still couldn't play a senior team.
But it's you have a different level of commitment at youth and at I can never understand what the difference between youth and junior is. I don't know the age levels.
Well, they're actually all under 13, under 16, under 19 now is the names.
Yeah, but you have a different level of commitment at that point in time, right? A lot of the time you don't have you have schooling and that's it. Like
but your parents have work and things.
Yeah.
What should I call it my coach? My dad's doing the late shift, so I've got to stay in.
That happens, mate. That happens.
But the thing is when you're a parent of a child who has sport, like when you sign them up for that sport, you take that commitment.
Yeah, definitely.
If there's going to be my old man, he's been dead for fucking like 15 years or some shit now. But he signed me up to rugby and he used to hate it because whenever I'd make rep teams and we'd have to travel and shit like that, he'd realised he couldn't get steaming on a Friday night because we had a fucking he had a 6-hour drive up to where the game was going to be because I was playing for Canterbury against Marlborough or he had to catch an early flight to Wellington or something and he wouldn't be able to go to the pub with the boys after he finished work. But it was something that he knew that he had to do because he fucking signed up for that commitment when he put me in the program.
Yeah. Right, so if that's the case for your parents, they've signed up to the program. Should we not hold Div 1 and like adult players in general to the same commitment?
No, because
because they have more commitment.
You didn't know if you in your fucking team.
No, but if you turned up,
if
you turned up to a training session and you went, "Oh, it's my first time here. I'm here to play American football." Oh, great. We train Sundays and Wednesdays. Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, you'd have no players.
And at that point, if you turn around and went...
You'd have no players.
And you went, that Wednesday session is mandatory, they would go, I can't make Wednesdays. And you're like, okay, well, sorry, see you later. And then, bam, that's your recruitment catchment gone. At a Div 1 level, where 50% of your fucking players are people who just want to turn up, play football on a Sunday, see your mates, hit somebody, enjoy the game.
Right, so if that's the case then, right, if you're saying that you're going to lose all of them players because of work commitments and etc., until we are allowed to have paid players in the country, you're going to get the same thing with the Prem?
It's different at the Prem level.
You've just talked. It's not different. It's exactly the same.
No, it is.
You've just talked yourselves into that. It's exactly the same. They've still got work commitments. They've still got kids. You've just absolutely ruined your argument with that.
No, because a lot of players in the Prem, right, they are not just in it for the social aspect.
Yeah, Odden, there's a massive difference between me taking my kid to football training and me going to American football training and leaving my kid at home or leaving someone else with me.
Right, exactly.
That's a huge difference.
I get that. But what you're saying is there's no difference between... You're just saying there's a difference between Div 1 players and Prem players for a Wednesday night training.
100%.
Yeah.
Adam, can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Did you have kids?
Yeah, mate, I've got 2.
Yeah,
right. I know if I said to my wife that next Wednesday I was going to football training, I'd get absolutely battered. But if I said I've got to take my child to football training, that'd be fine. Like it really does. Not everybody can live and breathe football as much as they'd like.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying.
I'd love to know in this country how many people have been divorced due to football. That would be a great start.
What I'm saying is, if you're saying that the reason behind Div 1 players cannot make a Wednesday training, for example...
No, but it shouldn't be mandatory.
Mandatory, yeah, I agree.
So why is it got to be mandatory in the Prem?
Because it's the same... it's a massively different level.
No, but it's still the same. It's still the same argument that they can't make it is why they can't. So
because the thing is, people that play Prem are more committed to the sport of football.
Yeah.
They're more talented.
I completely agree with that argument, but the argument that I'm disagreeing on is that you're just saying that they won't have the work commitment that you said that they would in Division 1. They won't have the kid issue that they would in Division 1. It's still the same issues. It's just a higher division of football.
But it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to say to your missus, I can't, I've got to leave the kid at home tonight because I've got training because I'm trying to make GB.
Right? And what does GB
you know what?
Because I know if I told my missus that, she'd say, does GB pay your money? No. Well, then,
No,
sorry, you're watching Timmy tonight.
Because it's the fact of the matter is a lot of the guys in the Prem, their end goal, like if you were in playing for one of the